Dean, we'd like to call to order the regular town council meeting for Wednesday, July 27, 2022. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Michael Earlingham.
Here.
Brian Blazak.
Present.
Wayne Hondinas.
Present.
Michael Schilling.
Present.
Gerald Swets.
Present.
Joe Wizawati.
Present.
David Westland.
Present.
And Beth Hernandez. Present.
Item number 3 is public comment. Marty D. I'm sorry, I don't want to mispronounce the last name. I'm sorry. That's easy, that's simple enough, all right? Did you want to speak?
I put that in there to make sure you ask me.
So what would you like to say, anything?
Well, I'd like to talk about the post 369 acceptance.
Step up to the microphone now would be a good time to do that.
If I can, we're on the agenda, so we'll.
I know, but on the agenda, we really don't have a time for,
And I get you. I'll present as the attorney
Okay.
at that time.
okay,
Thank you.
all right. And I've got Frank Darrington. Same thing? Okay. Thank you for being here, gentlemen. All right, we will move on. Item number 4 is approval of the minutes. You have before you the town council regular meeting minutes from June 22, and also our special meeting study session from September 8 of 2021. Questions or comments on the meeting minutes? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of June 22nd, 2022, and the special study session minutes of September 8th, 2021.
Thank you, Brian. Do I have support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Item number 5 is the bid opening for the West 85th Avenue Reclamation Project.
Do you want me to open them, or?
You're whatever.
Okay.
I can do it, you can do it,
Yeah.
whatever. You can do it.
Okay.
You can earn your money.
That's fine.
Wow.
All you need is to pull your blade out of your pocket, Dave.
Yeah, well, you have
You
one.
even come to the blade.
Okay.
No,
he's
Beth
got
handed
one.
it down to me. From Millstone Contractors in Griffith. This is the only one we have, Beth? That was
Yes.
turned in?
Oh, boy, one bid. Really? You guessing?
Okay,
I
so
know.
the bid
I agreed with you.
is for, total base bid, $845,543.75.
Say that one more time.
$845,543.75.
5 cents.
Big time. This recession is killing us.
So we want to get these reviewed by the engineers and
That's correct.
town manager,
Yes.
and do we want to authorize them to handle the bid from there? That makes sense?
Yeah, motion to refer to staff, and
Okay.
that's all you need.
All right. So do I have a motion to refer to staff?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Support?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. All right, we are going to move up in the, pull an item from the back of the agenda since we've got a specialist on the phone. We're going to item 8C2.
8C2.
That is the motion to approve the purchase of the ambulance. So, Joe?
Kevin? No, I'm just, go ahead, Kevin. This is yours, yeah.
Thank you for moving it up. I have Dave Cole from North Central Emergency Services here. That's why he traveled. So, in the month of May, I presented to the Safety Commission a ambulance purchase. We went through four different vendors, and we decided to go with Osage at North Central. So Dave has a proposal here. We got a favorable recommendation from the Safety Commission that month. The reason we're bringing it up now is that this isn't actually in the budget, or it's not even in the 5-year plan for 2 years from now. It is 2 years before we'll even receive the truck. It will be replacing a truck now that's 10 years this year, so it'll be 12 years we'll be replacing that ambulance. You should have the packet from North Central. Hopefully it made it to your packets. I can answer any questions, but if you have specific questions about North Central or the ambulance itself, Dave could answer that. One of the big things that I did want to talk about is financing and how we would do this. In the past, we've purchased vehicles, I think almost, not cash, Beth, but cash essentially, right? I think where we are now, it'd be prudent to finance something like this. Again, we won't need anything for maybe 2024, Dave. Maybe even 2025, depending how quick materials come to build. Right now, I believe in the fund we have 120,000. The fund roughly generates right around 65 a year. I'd rather go below than too much.
200.
Yeah.
It generates 70,200 a year.
Oh, I thought you said 7,200. I was
I
like,
know,
that's-
70,200.
That's 140 grand approximately a year.
We all, so that and Beth could probably help me with this too. Some of that money also is for, we charge loaded miles. Loaded miles goes into that. The normal ambulance revenue goes into general fund. So they're separate. My idea would be to take this out of ambulance cum and finance it, would be my suggestion.
The 5-year plan also had about 50,000 coming from public safety.
Would you know what we have in there now currently?
Yes. I haven't backed out numbers on remaining budget, but I'll pull the fund report. You'll have to give me a minute with these new.
Well, Beth's looking. We did have another ambulance planned the following year. With everything going on and backing that up, we're moving that further down in the 5-year plan just because one, the ambulance queue, and I think Beth will agree, won't be able to support it right away. So we're going to have to spread this out and have the idea going forward is to have a 7-year replacement. One of the big things with this ambulance itself, and I'll be quiet so Beth can give you the number, is we basically keep the box and put on a new frame. This box is built for that in the future.
So the new unit you're talking, right?
This Osage ambulance.
Okay.
Is the order time, the pre-order time, is that normally a 2-year time frame, or is it because of supply shortage?
I would love to turn that over to Dave.
Good evening, thank you.
Come up.
As certainly we all realize, the world is a different place. And the ambulance industry did not take an exception. We currently, in our industry, just roughly, there's about 6,000 ambulances sold. There's probably, throughout the U.S., there's about there's 15 ambulance vendors or so throughout the U.S. Every ambulance vendor relies mostly on commercial chassis, which Ford is our major player. To answer your question, the normal time for a delivery is usually about 280 days. That was about 2 to 3 years ago. Right now, the entire industry is looking at over 2 years in a delivery time standpoint, and is also at the mercy of OEM chassis
chain,
manufacturers and the supply chain.
So you would guess, and I'm asking just from your experience standpoint, that we ought to consider when we're thinking about our 5-year plan, moving forward, probably 2-year lead time is probably a better estimate than figuring less than a year.
I would agree with that, yes, sir.
Okay. Just prior planning, that's all.
Right.
Have you seen lead times come down at all in the last 6 months?
Not at all. In fact, they've increased because of the consideration that you're looking at in a 5-year plan. So many people have accelerated and are buying 2 instead of 1. And it has really created a huge backlog. And without supply, it just keeps going further and further out.
Are they really buying it, or are they just pre-ordering it and hoping they've got the money put together by the time they arrive?
Honestly, I think it's more the latter, just from a planning standpoint.
That's what I figured.
Because as you know, until the department approves the vehicle, it doesn't get accepted, and therefore it doesn't get paid. The vehicle has to be paid before it leaves the facility, the manufacturer, but it's more of that planning.
What kind of chassis is this on?
This is on a Ford F-550 diesel, 4-wheel drive.
And is it a custom or semi-custom box?
The specifications that the chief and department put together has some customization to it to meet their needs, but it is really fairly within the scope of what our company, our manufacturer does.
I'm sorry, is there any additions that we're adding onto this thing in terms of?
So yes, there's one reason. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Dave.
Oh, no.
So one reason we went with Osage, they offered some additions that the other companies didn't. That would make us safer in the back. While some things like UV disinfectants, air purification. Knock on wood, we don't deal with COVID or anything like that again. But the reality is, it's still here, and we're still dealing with it. So it would make us safer. So that's what was one of the driving factors of picking Osage. There's other upgrades that we did. Yeah, 360 camera. Just so, again, it's a bigger vehicle. Hopefully we don't get in any accident, just to see as we're backing up, moving around. Some safety features, really, more so. And then the customization in the back is just like all of us in our personal vehicles, we have some creature comforts that we like, but some of this is just to make it flow easier when we're taking care of the patient. So we're moving the heart monitor where we can see, so there's less standing and less moving around. The IV stuff and medication will be right there within reach. So in theory, we could be seat belted in the back and take care of the patient.
So the existing rig that we do have, that we would be trading this? Are we selling this? What's
It was
the?
a 2010 right now. By then, we'll be 12 years old. Ideally, we could try trading it and see what we'd get for it. Probably not much. Right now, it's in the shop again this year for a few other things. So that's why this is critical. I feel that we try to get ahead of the curve, 2-year curve.
Are we better off selling it, Kevin?
Yes and no. It's nice to have that. I mean, our population keeps growing. By that time, we may need 3 ambulances. Right now, we own 3, we staff 2. And it's nice to have that one when something goes down, so we don't have to decrease the service we're providing our citizens. So by that time, we may need 3. It depends. I only can staff 2, but as our town grows, that's a consideration. So if it's still serviceable, I'd like to keep it, but I also don't want to keep something that's going to cost us a lot of money either.
So I still have a question on the funding. So we could review what we have, what we anticipate getting in the next 2 years until we take delivery of this, and then what is the suggestion of funding going forward?
They'll hit the mark they need to be at by 2024. It'll be tight, but you have a $440,000 balance in public safety. So you could do more than 50,000 out of that fund.
Right.
So you don't have to do, I don't know what rates are going, but I know those are also going up.
Sure.
So you can do it without financing, since it's 2 years out and you have 2 years to plan for it.
So we would look at maybe doing that at this point and see where we're at 2 years from now.
Your ARPA funds.
Or ARPA funds.
One thing, and
That might make sense.
Saskia can help me with this too. Out of ambulance cap, we do spend there's things that come out of there too. So to fix our ambulances, one of the big things we just did this year, we have a contract service agreement with Stryker, who supplies our monitor, our cot, all that stuff. We pay for a service agreement out of that. So while we may have the amount, truly some of that money is going to be already spent, correct?
Correct, but you can still supplement with your public safety fund
Sure.
if you're not looking to finance.
Right, okay, thank you.
Oh, but here we are. So when are you looking to replace the other rig? Because that's going to be, in 2 years now, we're going to be zero. So,
Correct. So again, I think you guys are charged with handling town finances along with Beth, or Beth is, and you guys assist her with that. My suggestion as department head would be we find some way to finance it, just so we could spread those costs out. So we're gonna need another ambulance. It was in the 5-year plan prior to my time as chief to have another one the following year. Just looking at finances, I don't feel that's prudent. May I need it? Maybe, but this is a business as well, so I think planning a little bit. I like going forward to replace an ambulance every 7 years. This ambulance, we would take this box and put on another chassis, which would save us. It wouldn't be this big of a cost. Then you're just paying the chassis for the F-550
yeah.
or similar at the time.
So I mean, maybe it's something we could look at in the interim in terms of financing and then using that as a, source to fund it from.
So we don't have to pay anything until it's ready to go, right?
Well, so.
Or is there a deposit that's required for?
There is a small $1,000 discount if you prepay for the chassis only, that component of it, to the manufacturer. It saves you $1,000, but much more than that, there's nothing to incentivize you.
All right.
The other thing that goes with this is the town would have to join buy board, which is much like Sourcewell.
Right.
So,
Okay.
have any other questions?
Yeah, I gotta,
Sir.
we're not locked into that price. It can go up, because if there's a chassis that you can get, that can go up 3,000, 5,000, and it can go up a couple of times, or no? What's your experience?
It's a whole new world. I've been doing this since 2000 in a variety of ways, but never seen anything like this. To answer your question, yes, there is in the proposal, in the contract, it basically says that the Osage manufacturer module component and all of its options and components will lock in at a price. We, as a manufacturer, and I'm the rep for the distributor, but we cannot control what Ford is going to do. So, two factors. Ford offers it used to offer a very large incentive for government price concessions at more or less a state bid discount. That discount sometimes was $6,000, $4,000. We're hearing in the last set of emails, if you will, that incentive from Ford will probably disappear by 25. To answer your question completely, though, Ford is not locking us price. We have seen on the F-Series chassis alone in the last 6 to 7 months, a normal price increase might have been $200 to $300. We've seen $2,200 increases on Ford's end. So that is a floating scale. We have tried to estimate high with the idea that we want to come in the hero and be under that proposed figure, and any fees are full transparent refunded to the contract and to you. So there is a little bit of a sliding scale, $2,000 to $3,000 that could change.
Okay.
Kevin, when you're replacing, you're saying you're gonna put a box, our box, or the current box, or that particular type of box. Why are you replacing the chassis after 7 to 10 years? Is it just rust out, basically?
It doesn't rust out, because, I mean, what we've done now is we rotate an ambulance, so, like we own 3. We've changed our rotation schedule, but there's still get a lot of miles on it.
No, I was just curious as to why the chassis was being replaced, when in reality, that's probably the thing you would expect to last longer than the box.
Just like police vehicles, those don't last that long because they drive fast. We don't drive that fast, but we drive fast, and the wear and tear on them.
Okay, I'm just curious as to the regular wear and tear on them.
Yeah, it's interesting, different.
Okay. Do I then have an emotion to approve the purchase of the ambulance?
Well, do we have to have that, isn't there a bid, No. Well, they're not a part of Sourcewell. I just heard this over your conversation here.
So buy board, I believe that we need to join buy board.
Right, so maybe we kind of postpone this, because that's part of the agenda which preceded the bidding.
Okay.
or the ambulance portion, so.
Yeah, I just wanted to have Dave
Yeah.
go while he was here.
So maybe one quick question on the chassis. So I'm just trying to understand the pricing on here. So the cost that would be variable is the Ford chassis. What is the cost of the Ford chassis within this $318,000 at the moment?
Chassis and the liquid spring suspension is roughly about $80,000.
$80,000. And you had mentioned that if we had, that's the one piece we could prepay in order not to lose a $4,000 rebate, which is available now, and
No,
possibly another
If
$6,000?
you did if you did prepay for the chassis, once the VIN number came to us, we would contact you, and if you wanted to prepay for that or pay for that at the time we got the VIN, you would get a $1,000 discount off the top from the manufacturer.
Would the price remain stable?
Once we get the VIN, price should remain stable, but I
We
don't
find
want
it
that
out
in the
for
minutes
sure.
because I think things can change. As it relates to the 4,100 that's on the proposal, that is a government price concession / I call it state bid scenario that Ford has offered in the past. That number was 2020's number. We're looking at 2024 chassis, and we don't know if that will be anything.
So could we find that out, I suppose?
We won't know until the chassis is in. Cost of the chassis.
And that can't happen until 2024?
That's correct.
Okay.
We will submit with your government price number, but that is a variable that we can't.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
So we will table any action on this at this point.
Well, right now, we'll
Come
go
back
through
and
the
get it
agenda.
later.
Yeah.
Okay. One other thing I would like to do is move to the next item on the agenda as well. Item number 3. We've got a big crowd here this evening, and I'd like to get them taken care of so they don't have to wait here all evening. Yeah, the use variance. Joe? We're on number 3. It's the use variance.
Next
We're on 6.
Fire truck. That was 2. Next one.
8C3.
Gotcha.
It's the very next item.
So, this is for approval for the American Legion use at 9501 Wicker Avenue to operate within the US 41 overlay district. This comes with a favorable recommendation from the BZA. So it would be appropriate for the council to entertain that motion. But the attorney would like to speak on this, so.
Thank you. Alex Kutanowski, 1504 North Main Street, Crown Point, Indiana. Don't really have anything to add other than what Joe said, unless there's some questions specific. I do have some representatives here from the Legion and a slew of supporters, so.
You brought the
He's
troops.
got backup.
Yeah. That's how the veterans roll.
So you don't see any traffic issues with that location?
Not based on our review of that. Should they arise, I mean, we're definitely willing to work with the town if complaints come in or the town sees that there's some issues there. They're not planning any real exterior changes to the property. A lot of the stuff that is planned right now would be interior to help with the operation of Legion. But we've searched up and down for properties. We've had offers in, offers accepted, offers fall through, and so this property seems to be, based on our research, a good location for what they want to do with that with their operation.
Right. So the frame structure will stay the same? And
Correct.
parking lot will, same size there?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. For right now, I mean, as they start to operate and they see kind of how the operation goes here, we may be back in front of the town for some additional improvements. But right now, there's just some interior remodeling that needs to occur to kind of help facilitate a gathering space for the Legion members.
Okay. This comes with a favorable recommendation from the BZA. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Are you going to have apply for a liquor license?
Not at this time, I don't think, right? Are we a liquor license?
We still have to move in.
Yeah.
It'll be down the road possibly.
Correct.
It's a fraternal.
Fraternal license, correct. Yeah.
Sure, so we have our riverfront district where we're moving through, I think that would fall into that area, if I'm not mistaken. So you would be able to get a low-cost $1,000 liquor license more than likely. which would be very advantageous for you gentlemen.
Yeah,
So-
and we'll review that. I don't know what the fraternal licenses are. I know the civic licenses and some of those fraternal ones are pretty cost effective, but we got to get into a building first. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, and maybe a gaming license somewhere down the road, but that's a touchy subject too, so we just need to get in.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'd like to thank each and every one of you for serving the country. I would assume that you're all veterans, both men and women, so thank you, and thank you for taking an interest in St. John.
And I'd like to add to that, too. I say, God bless you guys. Thank you for your service. It's our privilege to be able to have American Legion come to St. John. Anything we can do to help you guys, we'd love to do.
I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the special use variance at 9501 Wicker Avenue.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Brian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. That is approved 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
All right.
You're welcome.
Welcome to town.
You're not from Munster, are you?
No,
Different Beth.
yeah.
If you owe her money, she's Beth.
Okay. From St. John for
32,
30+ years.
32 years.
All right, we move on. We'll go back to the regular agenda items. Number 6 is a public hearing. Item number A on ordinance 1772. This would be on the second reading. Joe?
All right, thank you. So this matter was previously before the council at the regular meeting in June. This ordinance reduces the effective rate of the St. John Water by 1.48%. This was due to Indiana Enroll Act 1002, which authorized
Just in
the
case.
repeal of the utility receipts tax, mandating this reduction upon all non-regulated utilities to reflect the repeal of the URT.
Okay. Mr. Westland.
The proofs of publication are in order.
Okay. Beth, any other comments, opening comments?
No.
Okay. Then we will open the floor to public comment. If anyone has any public comment on ordinance 1772? Calling twice? 3 times. Okay, we will close the floor to public comment. Comments from the board? This is before you again, so if not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept on second reading ordinance number 1772.
Second.
Just a motion to adopt.
Adopt.
Motion to adopt.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Brian. All in favor then signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. It is approved 5-0. Going on to item number 8, new business, financial matters of the corporation, RTPs. Beth?
There are 6 RTPs, 1 from Boonder Electric, 1 from Hall Signs, 1 from Axon Enterprise, 1 from Co-Alliance, 1 from HVAC Masters, and 1 from Image Trend, totaling $81,318.72.
Questions or comments on the RTPs? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the RTPs in the amount of $81,318.72.
Thank you, Brian. Is there support for that?
I'll second.
Thank you, Wayne. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Item number 2 is a motion to approve the docket voucher in the amount of $2,467,881.88.
So moved.
Support for that?
Second.
Motion by Brian, support by Mike Aurelio. Questions or comments on the docket? Then all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Okay. Ordinances and resolutions. Item 1 is ordinance 1773. Joe?
So this action before the town council was at the request of the clerk treasurer to revised fund balance of $86,786.20. I know on the previous agenda it was stated incorrectly, so that number is $86,786.20. So should the town council declare these funds dormant, I would hope that we can earmark these for the CCMG match. So that way because I know it came in a little bit heavier than we expected.
Okay. Questions or comments on ordinance 1773?
That's the match for Alexander?
No, that's for the CCMG project. It came in at 2.3. We were
right.
expecting it to come in probably about like 2.2.
Okay, so do I have a motion to consider ordinance 1773 on first reading?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. There's a support for that.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. It is approved 5-0. And since we've got unanimous support on that, do we want to adopt ordinance 1773?
Make a motion to adopt ordinance number 1773.
Thank you, Mike. Is there support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Ordinance 1774.
So the action here basically is merely amending a schedule on the firefighters' vacation. Probably a typographical error, but it stated 15 to 20 years, which should have stated 15 to 19. So it corrects that milestone at 20 years and retros that back to January 1st, so there's no impact on any of the firefighter staff.
Okay. Questions or comments on ordinance 1774? And do I have a motion to consider ordinance 1774 on first reading?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Support for that?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Since that is unanimous, do we want to adopt ordinance 1774?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Support for that?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Item 3 is resolution 2022-07-27A. Joe.
Thank you. So we do have Phil Vicent, or Phil's on the phone too. Phil Vicenda's on the phone as well. So, so this is the final action required to create the Riverfront District. This action finalizes the boundaries for the district and will allow for the non-transferable permits to sell alcoholic beverages for on-premises consumption. This will assist the town in their economic development by securing developers, which require liquor license without having to pay an exorbitant amount of money to attain those licenses. We're not looking to oversaturate the market. What we're looking to do is give the residents and visitors of St. John some options for dining and entertainment. The city of Valparaiso began this process sometime in 1999. Their actions have transformed their downtown historic district. In 2005, Valparaiso's actions helped to truly transition their downtown into a dining destination. St. John is seeking similar results by this action tonight. There are several steps that still need to happen before the liquor licenses can be issued, including establishing guidelines and procedures. Our attorney's currently working on those as well, and we'll be bringing those forth in the coming meetings. So we're in the process of getting that worked out. So if there's anything, Phil, you want to add?
No, actually, Joe, I think you covered it very well.
Oh, hold on just a
guidelines-
second. We gotta turn you up because we're having a hearing difficulty here.
Okay. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. Can you hear me?
There we go.
We can now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I was just saying, Joe, it was an excellent summary. As Joe mentioned, there will need to be, so tonight actually adopts the district, but there will need to be future action, and the council will have to consider guidelines for granting those licenses. And those can take any number of forms. Things like consideration of that other communities have looked at are things like percentage of food to alcohol sales, hours of operation, things like that. So as Joe mentioned, the guidelines will be drafted and shared with the council, and you can vet them, and then at a future meeting, adopt them.
Any questions for Phil?
Yes, I have Chris, a question on timeline. I know this is the final step, or one of the final steps of creating the area for us. For state action, is there a timeline for that, or what is the process for that?
Yes, so the once you've adopted your guidelines, then we simply need to alert the state, so it's as fast as you want to move on that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else? Questions or comments? Okay, then I will entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-07-27A.
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Is there support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Number 4 is Resolution Number 2022-07-27B. Joe.
So this received a favorable recommendation and approval by the Board of Safety for a 2-year towing agreement with Kubiak Services, Inc., and Stan's Body and Towing as well. So there's recommendation to approve them in the resolution.
Okay. Questions or comments on this resolution? If not, I look for a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-07-27B.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Item number 5 is Resolution 2022-07-27C. Joe.
So this also received a favorable recommendation from the Board of Safety to increase the towing fees from an amount not to exceed 125 to an amount not to exceed 185 for vehicles under 10,000 pounds.
Okay. Questions or comments? Okay, then I will look for a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-07-27C.
So moved.
I'm sorry, that's B. Sorry, 2022-07-27B.
No, you were
Should
right.
be right.
It
I
is
thought
C.
we see. I thought you had C.
You already
Correct.
did. You're
It
on
is
C,
Yeah,
Jerry.
we're on C.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're right. Okay, so we are on C. Thank you. Okay. So motion to adopt, thank you, Mr. Schilling. Is there support for that?
Yes.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Item number 6, Resolution 2022-07-27D. Joe?
So this is very similar to the cooperative agreement that we have a Sourcewell. Gives the town another avenue to purchase without having to go out for competitive bidding. This was the also for the ambulance that we're looking to purchase too.
Okay. Questions or comments?
Is there a cost associated with this?
No,
But there is with Sourcewell when we join that, right?
I don't believe so.
Oh,
No.
oh, okay. That's even better.
I don't think
That's
there
good.
is.
Thank you.
This ain't Sam's Club.
All right. Do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-07-27D?
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Is there support for that? Thank you, Brian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Okay, item C1. Consider service agreement with Robinson Engineering to serve as the town engineer. Joe?
Thank you. So this recommendation is to have Robinson Engineering as the town's engineering service. The town of St. John has been experiencing unprecedented growth. Robinson Engineering is prepared to take St. John to the next level as we continue to grow in this process. We will be holding a joint meeting with Haas and Associates very soon. They will be completing the projects that are currently underway as they are directed. At this time, members of the town council, I'm very pleased to introduce you to Russ Prequist, who is the chairman of the board of Robinson Engineering. So if Russ, you could come up.
Thank you, Joe. Let me introduce myself again. I'm Russ Prequist, chairman of the board of Robinson Engineering. And with me is Tom Nagel. He is our vice president. He and you're going to see the faces of both of us around, along with a number of others. Tom is from St. John. Ironically, we've got 7 of our employees that live in St. John, so that's a testament to the great job that you guys have done. We're excited to and proud to be part of this town and the vision that Joe has set in looking at the future and master planning. We excel in doing those kind of things of looking at water and sewer and roadways 20 years out to determine, do we have the right roadway widths when a developer comes in? Is the water far enough out? Is the size correct? As well as annexation. We've helped a number of communities look at annexations and the best way to plan. And I think the easiest way to look at it is we want to be proactive when a developer comes in rather than reactive. And it seems like there needs to be more of that. So when he comes in, we can put a roundabout where we talk about, and we can make sure that water main's large enough. And we just look forward to working with all of you in this endeavor. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Questions or comments?
Yeah, I have nothing against Robinson, as I said before. Last month, it was Robinson just on MS4. Now, most of the time, I think, I'm not with the city government all the time, you usually do that at the end of the year. My concerns are with Haas. Haas has been great with us. One of Haas engineers are here, Matt. Everybody's been good. Why in the middle of the year, or a little bit past the middle of the year, are we going to change? I have great respect for both companies, but why are we doing that? And then the transparency, as far as doing this, you find out when you get the agenda that we're doing this. So evidently, some of the talks were already in play, and I don't think we're being that transparent. That's my question to you guys. Why? Somebody had to know about this, and not just Joe.
I think it was, I'm not sure. How many months ago did we talk about starting to interview for engineering firms? Do you recall, Mike?
A couple months ago.
Yeah. Yeah, so.
And at the last board meeting, I believe, we talked about it.
At the last board meeting, we
Talked about it at length.
We put somebody on there, and I said, we're putting somebody on a board, or we're putting somebody on a board, and we're asking for them to come aboard. Fine, but we didn't have any rate prices. And Joe sent me the email the next day.
Right.
So,
But
I
you
mean,
just-
how do you approve something
Well, hold on, you
if
just
you
stated
don't
you
have the
don't
rates
know.
in front of you? And that's what we were gonna do.
But you got 'em-
Again, I have nothing against them. I have it against the people on the town council. You gotta communicate with everybody.
Well, I'm trying to understand your complaint. I know we talked about this last meeting, and then you were right, the rates weren't there. We all agree to that?
Right,
You got them the next day?
I got them the next day, yeah.
Okay.
If I got, Joe
But-
sent them to me, so that's fine.
But so this.
And
wasn't-
then
this
there's no
wasn't- So you've
comparison.
known about this for a few months?
There's no comparison
rates.
here on the rates, but why would you switch the boat in the middle of the stream when you can wait till the end of the year? And I want to know what's going to happen with Haas. Are they going to be able to continue their work? And just as a lawyer, if Dave is my lawyer, and I say, well, Dave, I can't use you, I'm going to use Mike now for my lawyer. Is there going to be extra cost for this engineering, for Russ to come in and go through stuff? Because engineering have stamps and everything else, so are we kind of
So
double
that's a great
charging?
question. So Russ, could you answer those questions? Could we have those? Are there going to be extra costs?
I was of the understanding, I'm sorry, I was of the understanding that the projects that Haas was working on, they would finish in order to be the most cost-effective.
And that's what I'm
That's
getting at.
typically how a transition like
Right.
this.
If
I've been on
that's
both
gonna
sides
work-
of this. That's the most effective way to do it. Any assistance we need, we'll provide, but there should be no extra cost. We should finish
Yeah, I
the
don't
projects.
want to have the town incur that, because that can get costly too.
It's a good point.
And you can see my point.
And we'll make extra, attention to not putting any, effort in those unless you ask us to. And I know the manager has talked about having Haas finish up the projects.
Because they've done a good job. I don't take anything away from them. I've been on meets with them with the state on 41, and you get blamed for everything, but the state hasn't been real great with us, with dealing with us. And now we're finally on that last project that should be okay, and by the end of October should be done. But again, I have to say kudos to Haas for doing what they've done for us for over the years.
Yeah, and I talked to Tim Haas. He assured me that he would work with them with transitions to make sure that whatever we would like them to complete, they will complete, and whatever we would like Robinson to take over, they would work with them on that too. So I think it'll be a smooth transition.
I wouldn't fire me and hire Mike, though.
Well,
Just
I won't use you for an example no more.
I'm not a lawyer.
So that's my thing, and I don't like some of the environment that's going on in town with the election, and you accuse other people of bringing Illinois stuff in here. Are we bringing Illinois politics into this town by doing this? Because they're an Illinois company. What goes on in our town with this election that's coming up, I don't like it. And, like I said, those guys are great. You're great, your company. I'm just voicing my opinion.
But I just mentioned, though, that our office is in Maryville,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I see a Maryville address on the information here, so.
Yeah, so I would say we don't want Illinois politics or bad financing come here to St. John. Totally
Right.
understand that. And I think that, I just want to dispel one thing you had mentioned, that this was done in some kind of secret way. You didn't learn about this till yesterday or the day before.
I didn't
on
say
this
that. I
packet.
just said that you
I thought
see it on
said
the
that.
agenda.
So, but it was on last month's agenda. We've talked about it for months. There was nothing sneaky or underhanded about this at all. You got the rates over a month ago, right? You got the rates of this over a month ago. So this was done
I
transparently.
got the rates for that, but I didn't get the idea that we were going to hire him we're going to replace him as an engineer. We're going to replace Haas or put him in addition to. We already have structure point. How many engineers do we have? Engineering costs, they're going through the roof. Now, it's not their fault, but we're having all the engineers do different things. You had first group do 93rd and 41.
So I'm just making sure we're on the same page. So you were well aware of this, and
No,
you got-
I'm not
you got the
well
numbers-
aware that we were going to
got
do
the
that.
numbers a month ago.
I was well aware that they would put them on MS4, Mike.
Okay.
And that's not their fault, it's our fault on the town council, because we do not put communication for everybody. If I'm doing something with water, I tell you guys.
Okay. So we have only one engineering firm per project. So it's not like we have multiple engineering firms doing the same thing.
Well, they're doing
Some
different
engineering
things.
firms specialize in other areas.
Right.
When we talked about doing the Klein Avenue project, that was not something that Haas would be able to handle.
Right.
No.
So we needed somebody else to do that. So we hire the specialists that can handle the projects best, so. All right, so do I have a motion to consider the service agreement with Robinson Engineering?
So moved.
And we're gonna, I'm sorry, looks like we're gonna authorize the town council president to sign. Correct, Brian?
Yes.
I have one other question.
Okay.
Can sanitary and the waterworks keep Haas on as their engineers, since they're working with Haas? Or are they gonna replace is this company gonna change and be for everybody? Because they're their own separate entities. Just like we did with Baker Tilly and Sender.
Good question.
Sanitary, I mean, because they're gonna ask me, so, and I'm a liaison for that, so is that gonna work for them? How does that work for those two?
I think we probably should have that conversation with Joe and with Haas and with Robinson.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
It is approved 4-1. Okay, item number 2, which is the motion to approve the ambulance that we had talked about earlier in the meeting. So I'm not going to bring it back up again unless there are comments or questions on the purchase.
Just to correct the correct amount that you see on the screen versus what's on the actual agenda, the actual amount is $318,987.
Okay.
And Jerry, one other comment I was thinking, as Kevin was still presenting, as far as the financing, depending on what you do with the ARPA funds, if you use some of it to do a match, that's going to free up money in like our CCD fund, which is another place you could help supplement the purchase of that ambulance if you're not looking to finance.
Okay.
So it's not like you're stuck
Right.
to only one or two funds.
Okay, so we've got some flexibility.
You do
there.
have flexibility.
Thank you. All right, do I have a motion to approve the purchase of the ambulance?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Item number 3, we've already approved that, so we'll go into item number 4, which is a motion to approve the independent contractor agreements for Parks and Recreation. There's a number of people listed here. Joe?
Yeah, these are just the independent contractor agreements with the individuals listed there for the Parks and Rec Department for the volleyball program. These individuals will be going into the clerk's office to sign these agreements.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the independent contractor agreements as listed.
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Item number 5 is the acceptance of the performance surety for Planet Fitness, St. John Holdings LLC. Joe?
Yeah, so this is for the town to accept a performance surety for Planet Fitness to install certain electrical equipment. Because of the supply chain issues that they're having, there's a temporary solution, but the Plan Commission came back and said that they wanted a surety bond or a performance bond.
Okay.
Beth, you want to?
No, we received actual physical checks in lieu of a
Okay.
bond or a letter of credit.
So it's just money.
We have money.
Okay. So then
It's
we
not a
need to,
bond, it's just this, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Money works.
even better.
Yep.
But anyway, they're having supply chain issues with the NIPSCO. So they have a temporary solution, but this ensures that that's going to get done. So
Okay.
that's basically it. On this one and the next one, just so you know.
Questions or comments for Joe on this one? Then I'm looking for a motion to consider the acceptance of the performance surety for Planet Fitness in the amount of $16,560.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Item number 6, consider performance of surety for Apex Design Build Smythe DDS. Joe?
Yeah, and this is the same situation as the prior. So the supply chain issues with NIPSCO, and then this is the surety that this gets done.
And this one is in the amount.
And I believe there's a 2-year period that they had on there from the Plan Commission. They had 2 years to get this done or something to that effect.
Okay. Questions or comments? And I will entertain a motion to consider the acceptance of the performance surety for Apex Design Build Smythe DDS in the amount of $11,286.
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Support for this?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Item number 7 is to consider appointment of specific individuals to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. It's going to Joe?
No, Mike's going to Mike.
Okay.
So I had a few names. We had, I believe, was it 9 applicants? Was it 8 or 9 applicants? I was very happy with the group that got sent. They were all, I was thankful to receive all of them. The ones that I thought were best would be a best fit for our Parks and Recreational Advisory Committee, and I'd like to recommend to the board for approval would be for terms expiring in 2023 would be Michael Moffett, David Beeshold, and Vanessa Merkel. And then for terms expiring in 2022 would be Barb Tousley and Lauren Sustek. I thought they'd make a nice addition and would like to look forward to working with them. So
Okay. So that's your motion?
that's my motion.
There's support for that.
Second.
Thank you, Brian. Questions, comments?
Yeah, you had mentioned that there was applications, but there probably wasn't applications. And who else handled that besides you, Mike?
I believe it got sent into the town manager or the town office. I sat down and reviewed all the names with the park superintendent and the town manager and myself. We went through and that was at one meeting, and then we sent all the names out. You saw them all?
Yeah, I just got the list. I asked Joe the other day, I said, do you got a list? He said you were handling it, so then he finally sent me the list. But it says the town council was gonna go through this, and you're the only one on the town council. The town council is 5 people, not 1. And I'm elected, you're not, so.
You're welcome to
I have
nominate
my
anybody you
comments,
like.
and I'm being respectful. I'm giving you my opinion.
Okay.
But you took the Parks Department and you tore it apart. We had a good working relationship with all the guys that were on there, and we disbanded it because you wanted control. What happens, Mike, you see something good, and then you can't perform, you can't do that, so now you want to take the good that we did and take it over. You want to have all the glory, and that's not fair.
You know,
but that's my opinion.
Nope,
You know-
nope, we're not.
Yeah, I don't think
You
so.
can't gavel
We're
me.
not going there. We're
Yeah,
not gonna have
I
that
think it's kind of
discussion.
just the opposite, Wayne.
When you,
No, it's not the opposite.
okay, so the last time we went through this in elections, you were given the option to select your park board.
Right, but we were on the park board.
and we all-
But there is no liaison anymore, and it said the town council was gonna do this. All 5 of us, not just 1.
So
But again,
We have-
that's my opinion.
we have a liaison to parks, that's Mike Aurelio. And Mike Aurelio did the interviews in the selection process, and those.
But we don't have a Parks
And those are
Department
his
no more.
motion. This is for the Park Advisory Committee.
We do have a parks department. We have a park superintendent.
We got a park, you
This will
disbanded the
be-
Parks Board, so.
Hold on, and this will be a parks commission. So you're in error.
All right. So I've got a motion, I got a second. All in favor of the appointments listed signify by saying aye.
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 I abstain.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
That is approved 3-1 with 1 abstain. Item number 8 is to consider the guidelines for the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. questions or comments on the guidelines? Joe, do you want to introduce these at all, or?
Yeah, so these were included in your packets for your review. These establish the guidelines on how the committee will be constituted and how they'll run. There was an ordinance establishing the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. These kind of just are guidelines, so they're not, it's not ordinance, but if the town council wants to change the guidelines, they can. It just gives them some guidance on how they should run.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Then I will consider a motion to, I don't know, what are we doing with these? Not an adoption.
It's approval.
Approval? Approval of the advisory committee guidelines.
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Is there support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Abstain.
Opposed? Say nay.
Nay.
3-1 with one abstain. Item number 9 is to consider uniform conflict of interest for Bob Zaney.
Saney.
Joe?
So this is a routine form that happens when anytime there's a potential or an appearance of any kind of conflict of interest. Bob Saney sits on the Stormwater Board, so he completed the conflict of interest, as well as Bob Burleson. Bob sits on the Plan Commission
Okay.
and BZA. Sorry.
So we'll do these one at a time. So
Yeah.
first one would be for Robert.
Are they both employees of
Robinson.
Robinson?
Yes.
That's correct.
So, you already know it's a conflict, and I know you're bringing it forward.
No,
but-
they're not
But
owners
Mr.
or
Zaney sits
principals.
on the board as a president, so there is a conflict of interest, and I think that if he stepped off the board, that's fine. That they come in and work for the town, that's fine. But I'm not for that. And the same way with Bob Burleson, you sit on boards that could, it's just a direct conflict, and it's kind of
Well, it's
like a smokescreen.
but it's not a direct conflict.
Right.
That's the thing. It's not a direct
Well,
conflict because he's
and-
not
and-
an officer of the
Right.
the company. So
But that's
it's just
my
to
opinion.
avoid any appearance of conflict and to declare that. So if there is a point where there is a conflict, then they could declare a conflict and abstain on a vote, if there ever was a vote.
Okay. So we'll accept a motion to consider accept the uniform conflict of interest for Bob Saney.
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Support for
Second.
that. Thank you, Brian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
It is approved 4-1. And we have the same conflict of interest statement for Bob Burleson. We have a motion to accept that.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Is there support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
It is approved 4-1. Reports and correspondence. You're in this time, Wayne? Anything?
SCADA system, up and running fine. The sanitary panels are up and running. They're being tested. Once the tests are complete, they'll start the installation of them. Well 9 started today. The rain that came over the weekend and that, they finally got some stone out there. The rig's out there. They started drilling today. That's good. In the request to purchase, there was something about Wells House 3, 4, and 5 for air conditioning. The VFDs that we spent about $134,000 on, when you run them, they get super hot. Just like Jason has air in his computer room or by your office. We got to put air conditioning in these buildings, so that's got approved tonight. That's a big thing. The skate park, that's going good. I'm out there every day. The skaters are out there. They're having fun. A lot of compliments from the adults, people that come out there. They bring their kids. It's a good idea. They're great. That 41 Street culvert project, Gatlin started it today. Joe sent out an email. It should be done by mid-October, late October. They already drained the sanitary line. Water main has been replaced in the one area. Pretty soon the state will be coming in there to do their culvert work, and then Gatlin can keep on going. We had a vector truck demo last week or 10 days ago. Both the sanitary board and water board were in favor of it. But like I said earlier, there's a couple more trucks coming. It is needed. The truck that we have now is so-so. But anyhow, that's going good. And then the public comment at meetings, I like to give my input on that. I think the public, when they come here, they should have at least a right to make a comment, as long as it's it's respectful. To limit people to a 30-minute for everybody, I don't think that's right. If we can go to the public and ask for their vote, then we should at least, when they come here, they should at least be able to comment a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I think that's only fair, because if we've taken up their time on their porch talking to them, and I've always been an advocate for that. I've been an advocate for having 2 meetings, and I think that that would suit the public real well. I mean, I hear that. I go into stores and stuff, and I get that question. So I'm in favor of it, but I'm only one person on the board.
Well, we've never instituted where we had to use that, because we can always, just like we did with the agenda tonight, to modify it. There's more people to talk, we can always modify that and stretch it out further. It's the guideline. It's like a 3-minute thing. We have
Right, and I
3-minute, and occasionally people go over that, or if there are a number of people speaking on the same thing, they can go over that.
But I welcome them to come. I wish more people would come to our meetings instead of stay home and watch it or watch it later. But we used to fill up this room with people, and I hopefully they take an interest in our town.
Okay, thank you. Mike?
I'd like to have a moment of silence here for, we had past employees die in this month. One was Michael Munich, served on the St. John Volunteer Fire Department for well over 50 years as an active member, retired as a division chief. And then also Jerry Spohn, he served 30 years on the Volunteer Fire Department and also worked full-time in the Public Works Department. He passed away a week ago. Both members, well over 30 years, dedicated service to the town. Just have a moment of silence for those 2 individuals.
Sure. We can observe that now.
That's good.
Okay, Mike.
A couple things. I wanted to thank the hard work of the Economic Development Committee for our putting together and pulling off and doing a great job with our Freedom Fest. I think by the time the fireworks were shot off, we had well over 2,000 people there. I thought it was a great community event. I look forward to seating our Parks Commission members. I've been talking to our superintendent, our Parks Superintendent Mike, about adding to our community events. I've heard from many of the residents at a couple of our events so far, they would like to see more of those. And also improvement in our parks and, constant improvement in our parks. So I really do look forward to working with him and the commission to just continually improve those. We also talked briefly today in our Economic Development Committee meeting about approaching Kmart property and getting a better idea and formulating a plan for the use of that property, something that would really benefit the residents in our town. Also, I wanted to thank the council for approving the Riverfront District. I think that is going to be an economic engine for our town. Right now, we are 95% plus residential, which is a break-even situation, and we are in desperate need of commercial and industrial 2% and 3% property taxpayers. And I think that will be a nice engine for that, to constantly improve our town, improve our finances as well. So that's all I have.
Well, thank you. Ryan?
Basically, just a quick summary. The MS4 board had its first meeting last week. Things are underway as far as advice and guidelines, ideas about where we're moving forward. and what we're going to accomplish. It's going to be a bunch of hard work, but the guys are ready to take it on. We have some real experience sitting on that board. So therefore, it's going to take some time and effort, but just like the road impact fee, we'll get it done.
Okay. All right, and then we had a meeting of the Tri-Town Safety Village today, and we're kicking around some ideas, and I think we're going to try some adult education. Right now, we have the different classes from the schools, school systems, Lake Central school systems, and quite a few of them around, actually, that come in and bring their classes in for some safety training. And we are going to begin doing once a month, having an evening class for adults, which will include CPR classes, and then some other safety issues too. Kevin sits on the board as well. He's one of the board members, and had brought up some great ideas. So I think that's something that we can look forward to as far as opportunities that town members are going to have. Also, I serve in NERC, which is Northern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, and we just had our board meeting last week, and they talked about some additional funding that's going to be coming down this year, probably within the next couple of months, for additional road projects and also some bike paths and walking paths. So hopefully we can find our way to apply for some of those things and see some of that money as well. So just a lot of opportunities coming up. Beth.
Just a couple reports. Our investments, 2 investments matured on July 11th and July 13th. The proceeds totaled about $3,013,000. Based on current CPI numbers and expectations for increased Fed rate hikes, we decided to stay shorter again. Treasuries, again, this time were the best on the short end. So we reinvested $1.5 million in a 6-month, $1.512 million in a 9-month. Rates, Brian, I know you ask about these. Our 6-month is 2.810. 9-month is 3%. Okay. For the CCD fund reestablishment, my office took care of finalizing all the required steps to reestablish the CCD fund for 2023. On July 15th, we received notification from the DLGF that we are reestablished for 5 cents per $100 of assessed value. So that's certified and ready to go for the 2023 budget. The First Midwest Old National Bank merger. I know from a customer standpoint, it maybe hasn't been as seamless or easy as maybe it had been broadcasted, but from our standpoint, we had roughly 350 utility customers that were affected by the merger. We would like to report that all of our accounts have been appropriately updated as far as the routing numbers are concerned, and this is for people who pay utility bills with an e-check or a debit card. We would like to thank Invoice Cloud. They were able to go into the system and just update those routing numbers, and then we just did one last check on that, so we are set and ready to go. Same is the case for our employees. They've all been notified that they will receive, their next check will be a live check due to the routing number change, but everybody is set and ready to go for that as well. Indiana Arts Commission grant. Some time ago, Mr. Tom Hawker requested my assistance in obtaining an IAC grant for a photography project. I'm sure you guys, he did a presentation here that he planned to undertake. You guys then gave permission to proceed with submitting the grant, which I did a few weeks later. So I'm pleased to announce that the Indiana Arts Commission has formally awarded $3,900 through the Arts Organization Support Grant Program, and so I look forward to see what Tom does with the project. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Joe.
Thank you. So as Councilman Pandina stated, Gatlin began mobilizing on the removal of the water main and the forced sewer main and the conflict of US 41. Phase 1, which is for the removal of the existing water and sewer mains, should be completed by August 23rd. The state's contractor, Goff, will begin their culvert removal and replacement, along with the area that needs to be excavated. That process is expected to take about 21 days. So once they get that done, Phase 2 will begin for Gatlin again. They'll be replacing the water and sanitary lines and getting that all completed. That, as Councilman Pondina stated, should be about October 12th. It should take about 28 days to get all of that completed. With that, Milestone should be able to complete the remainder of the project on US 41, hopefully before the end of October. The drilling on well 9 began today, as was stated earlier. Was out there this morning, and glad that that's getting started up. I know there's some processes that have to take place before that actually can get online, so there's still a long road ahead before that we start pumping water out to the residents on that. And Public Works has been working on many projects, including street sweeping, branch pickup, mowing, trimming, and their other daily routines. The St. John Police Department recently hired Officer Jarrett Stickle from the Cedar Lake Police Department. Officer Stickle replaced Officer Brett Seidenbender, who retired after 25 years of dedicated service to the town. We wish him a very happy and healthy retirement. Officer Stickles is currently in the field training and is expected to be solo patrol within the next couple of weeks. The police department will also be acquiring an MRAP, which is a mine-resistant ambush protection armored vehicle, from the Terre Haute Police Department through the Department of Defense. This vehicle will be primarily used for SWAT and will be stored in either the Public Works garage or Animal Control garage. We should be taking possession of the vehicle in the next week or so. St. John Fire Department is pleased to announce the promotion of Scott Clifford and Mike Haney. So for the month of July, the Building Department has been drafting and updating their 2023 budget, conducted interviews to fill a vacant seat left by the electrical inspector. Also this month, the department has issued 32 new construction permits. 25 construction permits are ready to be picked up in the clerk treasurer's office. Should these 25 permits be picked up by Friday, that would have a total of 57 new construction permits issued for the month of July 2022. That's compared to 49 for the previous month, or previous year, July 2021. New construction permit fees collected for the month are $529,000. The total for the year to date is about $4.2 million. Comparatively speaking, at the same time frame for July of 2021 was 4.9, so we are down slightly. Also, the building department has 18 new construction permits in the review queue and 10 secondary permits in the review queue. This month, the building and planning department also drafted two requests for services, one for update to the town's thoroughfare plan and the other for the creation of an economic development plan. They've been working with the developers and engineers to refine the development proposals of Streamside, which is a 54 single-family lot subdivision, and Astoria, which is a 90 single-family lot subdivision. The Plan Commission reviewed 7 agenda items, granted preliminary plat approval for the St. John Commons, which is a $20 million mixed-use development investment. The BZA reviewed 3 agenda items this month, 2 variances, 1 developmental variance, and a code enforcement assisted, bringing approximately 15 code violations into compliance, and issued 5 citations, fines for failure to comply. Finally, met with each of the department heads this past week. We reviewed their budget request for 2023. This process is complete. We will be working with Senator Dalton on putting these together, along with a review with the clerk treasurer and the town council at some point. We will have a draft budget completed sometime in August, and that'll be submitted for your consideration. And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.